Good evening, sir. Parade is formal and ready, sir.
The parade RSM has handed over the parade to Parade Commander Lieutenant Colonel Fani Aliman. Lieutenant Colonel Fani Aliman is currently the brigade second in command of 7th Singapore Infantry Brigade and also honorary ADC to the President of the Republic of Singapore.
Komandan, masuk! Baris!
Sir!
Baris! Hormat panji-panji! Hormat! Sanja! Taf!
Kawalan Komandan! Tarik kanan! Cepat jauh! Launch!
Making their entrance now are the Singapore Armed Force regimental colours.
And following behind them, the Guard of Honours. The Guard of Honour contingents are made up of members from the three arms of the Singapore Armed Forces, the Army, the Navy and the Air Force, as well as the Singapore Police Force.
Komandan! Ke dalam! Oh! Terus!
Kawalan kombatan, pandang ke depan, pandang!
Kawalan Komandan! Hormat panji-panji! Hormat! Sanja! Tak!
Baris! Rusuk! Sanja! Tak! Baris! Senang deh! Break! Baris!
Boris! Steady! Here!
Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong.
The arrival of Singapore's third Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, sworn in on 12 August 2004.
Well, our 59-year-old Prime Minister was first elected Member of Parliament in 1984 as a candidate of the People's Action Party and has been re-elected 6 times, most recently this year as an MP for the Ang Mo Kio Group Representation constituency.
Hormat Perdana Menteri! Hormat! Senja! Tau! Boris! Russo! Senja! Tau! Boris! Sendang day! Right!
Now, this year there will be a modular moment which will comprise the receiving and raising of the state flag by representatives from the school's uniform groups.
In fact, this is one of the symbolic moments of this evening's National Day Parade, the passing of the Singapore spirit through the generations.
Our elder and younger generations on the podium are represented by parade participants who had been involved in National Day Parade many times.
And this Majula moment signifies our determination as Singaporeans to share and pass on the Singapore spirit so as to strengthen our roots and at the same time inspire future generations to build a better home and a better Singapore.
The Majula moment signifies our determination as Singaporeans to share and pass on the Singapore spirit so as to strengthen our roots and at the same time inspire future generations to build a better home, a better Singapore.
Singapore's flag with the colour red symbolising universal brotherhood and equality of man, while the white portion signifies pervading and everlasting purity and virtue. The crescent moon represents a young nation on the ascent, and the 5 stars stand for the nation's ideals of democracy, peace, progress, justice and equality.
Please rise to welcome His Excellency, President S.R. Nathan.
National Day Parade. President S.R. Nathan, this will also be his final National Day Parade as the President of Singapore.
President S.R. Nathan is being received by Chief of Defence Force Lieutenant General Neo Kien Hong. A
very, very popular person amongst all Singaporeans and also a great ambassador for Singapore all around the world.
President! Hormat! Senja! Tau!
sky in front of you as the F-15 Eagles from the Republic of Singapore Air Force fly past in a salute to the nation. And here they come. Please be seated.
Mr. President, the parade is formed up and ready for your inspection, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President will now inspect the parade. As a mark of respect, the 25 Under guns on your right will also fire in salute to our President.
Well, we saw a shot of the military float bridge earlier on carrying the 25-pounder guns, which will be fired now for the 21 presidential gun salute that greets the President as he does the inspection of the Guard of Honors. The 21 gun salute is there to honor him in a formal way.
President S.R. Nathan is the sixth and also the longest-serving president of Singapore.
Elected in 1999, then re-elected again in 2005. This is his 11th National Day Parade, and he'll surely be feeling a swell of emotion as he oversees the celebrations and the Guard of Honors today.
The 25-pounder guns have its history back to the 1940s, where they were first used to defend Singapore during World War II. And while we celebrate Singapore's 46th birthday since independence, we should also remember that President S.R. Nathan has also enjoyed a long and illustrious career.
Well, very much mirroring the story of Singapore, President Nathan himself started out as a humble seaman welfare officer in 1959. He then went from championing and furthering the interests of seamen to pioneering the Labour Research Unit, which has evolved into the current Labour Union.
In his many years serving this country, President Nathan has demonstrated a strong and selfless side. And this was clearly demonstrated in the dramatic 1974 Laju incident when Japanese Red Army terrorists bombed petrol tanks on Pulau Bukom and took hostages. He had volunteered to be held hostage along with other government officials in exchange for the release of the civilian hostages.
Let's also remember that President Nathan has flown Singapore's flag overseas as an accomplished and respected diplomat.
President S.R. Nathan was the first permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs back in 1979.
And in 1988, he was High Commissioner to Malaysia and subsequently appointed Ambassador to the USA in 1990.
Despite his many successes, President S.R. Nathan has never forgotten his fellow man nor the less fortunate. He started the President's Challenge in 2000, bringing together several charity projects under the President's office.
And he is also actively involved in the community and charity works, and has been the champion of many a worthy cause.
From 1983 to April 1988, President Nathan was chairman of the Hindu Endowments Board. He was also a founding member of SINDA, the Singapore Indian Development Association, and its term trustee until August 1999.
The guards of honor respecting the moment, and the flags come out again to greet President S.R. Nathan, overseeing his final National Day parade as the President of Singapore. I'm sure Singaporeans and all of Singapore are grateful to him, President Nathan, for his selfless contribution to the nation, and we sincerely thank him.
And shortly, the Guard of Honours will perform the Feu de Joie, or Fire of Joy, to portray the sense of joy and festivities today.
Mr. President, may I have your permission to proceed with the parade, sir?
The running fire of guns upcoming.
Kawalan komandan akan tembak Feu de Joie. Isikan! Peluru! Hormat! Tembak! Isikan! Lari! Hormat! Tembak! Isikan! Lari! Hormat! Tembak!
3 rounds of blanks fired consecutively with great precision, brilliantly executed.
Kawalan komandan, rusuk, senjata!
Not an easy job, the Feu de Joie, firing across from one end to the other.
Mr. President, may I have your permission to march off the parade, sir? Kawalan komandan, diam! Yang lain, julang, senjata! Baris akan berjalan keluar dalam masa cepat. Kawalan Kombatan dahulu. Kawalan Kombatan ke kanan. Yang lain ke kiri dan ke kanan. Bow! Cek!
Are forming up for the traditional march past. Colours have a long history and they date back to the Middle Ages. It originated as a point of distinction for tribes and army. It was used as a rally point in battles and, seen from a distance, it was a morale boost for soldiers to want to fight to keep their colours flying free.
Well, today the colours are more symbolic than practical and are paraded during auspicious and significant occasions such as today, the National Day Parade or the SAF Day Parade, Unit Anniversary Days and Unit Turning Ops Parade.
And this year, the RSAF receives 5 new regimental colours to mark its transformation towards the 3rd generation RSAF. The new regimental colours are for Air Defence and Operations Command, Air Combat Command, Participation Command, Air Power Generation Command, and Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Command.
The colours are arranged according to the date they were granted, with the oldest colours on the left and the newest colours on the right of the observer.
Colours are an embodiment of an institution's history, honour and traditions.
And when placed side by side, the state colours and regimental colours signify the pride and loyalty of servicemen to their services, formation and units. As we head on now to the traditional march past.
Leading the march past is Parade Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Fahmi Aliman.
And he's leading the colours side by side with the national flags.
The first of the Guard of Honours is the Army, led by Major Eugene Lim.
And next up is the Navy Guard of Honour. And they are led by Major Kwek Seo Hyong.
Next, the Air Force Guard of Honor, led by Major Francis Tan Park Lane.
And the Singapore Police Force. Leading the way is Deputy Superintendent of Police Chan Hee Kyong. the Singapore Armed Forces, Singapore Police Force, and the National Cadet Corps.
And this year, the 23 supporting contingents will be executing the Onward March. The first time it will be conducted at the floating platform.
And as you can hear in the background, it's executed along with a lot of people's favorite National Day song, We Are Singapore. The contingents will march up the stands where spectators are seated, and they will get up close to the audiences where they are just less than an arm's length away.
Now, this is not easy to do, as the soldiers cannot look to the ground when they are marching, and it becomes even more challenging when they have to step up the 132 flight of steps.
And I guess, Glenda, it's only apt that they're doing it with the song We Are Singapore, because it's a song about overcoming all odds and making it despite being a small country and all its adversities. As we were telling you earlier on, there's a total of 23 supporting contingents this year, the highest number of civilian contingents gathered on the floating platform.
And they're made up of 3 military contingents from the Army, Navy and Air Force, 2 home team contingent from Singapore Police Force and Singapore Civil Defence Force, 9 uniform group contingents from Girl Guides, National Civil Defence Cadet Corps, St. John Ambulance Brigade, the Boys Brigade, the Singapore Scout, Singapore Red Cross Society, National Police Cadet Corps and the National Cadet Corps.
And 3 social groups as well, from the PAP, the NTUC and the PUB. 6 economic group contingents from Sembcorp Marine, Keppel, PUB, Propnex, High Flux, UOB, Great Eastern and the PAP.
And first-time participating contingents include High Flux, UOB and Great Eastern.
Well, collectively, they represent the 5 pillars of total defense in military, civil, economic, social and psychological.
Now, the parade and ceremony segment showcases the precision and discipline of a military-style parade. It's an anchor segment where Singaporeans march together to celebrate Singapore's independence.
In fact, the parade and ceremony segment was the only event during the National Day Parade. It was back in 1966, a year after Singapore gained independence, and it was held at the Padang at 9 in the morning.
As night descends, a colourful musical extravaganza begins.